So this vlog is going to be about the last 3 times that I've been out with the camera looking for wildlife. Specifically, I was looking for brown hares. And I think the 3 outings combined serve to tell the story of how I've been trying to find a new location. So I have a location that I go to quite a lot. It's near to where I live in Bristol, and it's actually the first place that I ever saw a European brown hare. Thus far, when I've been going there, my goal has mainly been to get as close to a hare as possible and to get a shot where it's in focus and there's no movement blur going on. However, I've been thinking more recently about composition and thinking how if these 3 things were met, so proximity to hare, hare in focus and no movement blur, if those 3 things were met but the hare was largely obscured by grass and there wasn't much else going on in the shot, I'm not going to be happy with that as an image. So I have come up with a long-term goal. This long-term goal is to get an image of a hare with the beechwood that is there as the backdrop. Now this beechwood I find absolutely stunning, especially when the sun is hitting it, and I think that combined with the hare would make a really lovely image. I say this is my long-term goal. On this particular day that I went out with the camera, it was overcast and there were intermittent rain showers, so I knew I wasn't going to get this dream shot. I was more seeing this as a scouting out mission. However, I came across a relatively big obstacle, and that is that there are now sheep in this field. So I have never seen a hare in the same field as sheep or cows. I don't know how much it would spook them out to have livestock in the same field as them, but I'm guessing it probably would, especially as these sheep were coming right into the beechwood where I wanted to be. So I decided to head down the valley a little bit to a different wood where I've seen some hares. Now this second wood has pheasants in there, which are obviously there for shooting, but that has never been a problem until this visit. So I properly managed to freak myself out thinking that I was going to get shot. I was wandering through the woods and I came across 3 different remains of birds, and by the 3rd bird remain it dawned on me that these birds had been shot directly where I was standing. And it also occurred to me that I couldn't remember where the footpath was. I was pretty sure there was a footpath in the wood, but it had probably been about a year since I'd last looked at an ordnance survey map of the area, and I was just suddenly doubting myself. Then I heard 2 gunshots, one of which sounded relatively close. I was also wearing camouflage, and I know that when you wear camouflage you don't suddenly start looking like a deer, especially as I was wearing a backpack, I was carrying a tripod and a camera, so I would have very much looked like a person traipsing through the wood wearing camouflage. But somehow this added to my stress levels, thinking that it increased the chances of me getting shot. So I got out of there as quickly as I could. It's amazing how quick one can climb a steep muddy bank with a heavy camera bag on one's back. And I thought, time to find a new location. Not necessarily because of the pheasant shooting, but I do think that the presence of sheep in this field are going to cause a bit of a problem until they've gone, with regards to getting this shot of the hare that I would like to get. So I spent some time looking up on Google Earth, Google Street View and Ordnance Survey maps and came up with a new location, which I went to on a beautiful sunny evening. The location is absolutely lovely. I found a really long footpath that had badger paw prints all the way down it. You can tell that these paw prints belong to badgers for a couple of reasons. First of all, the claws look really long, and yes, it would be possible for a dog to have really long claws, but also the digital pads are arranged much more in a linear fashion than a dog's would be. And also on some of the paw prints that are quite well preserved in the mud, you can make out the 5th digital pad. So these definitely belong to a badger. Every now and again I also found the odd fox paw print, so these were a lot more diamond shaped than a dog's would be. They were definitely outnumbered by the badger paw prints, but they were also there. Didn't see any hares. I also didn't feel particularly optimistic that I was going to see any hares, in that the land didn't feel agricultural enough. So I thought, try and find a new location again. On the way home, I saw 2 fields that had crops in them, and these fields are not particularly ideal in that they're relatively large and very visible from the road. But this, I thought, yeah, this will now be location number 3. So I went to location number 3 last Wednesday. Had some success to a degree. So for the first time ever in my life, I found an owl pellet, which made me really happy. I've been wanting to find an owl pellet since I was like a child. So it's really interesting looking at all the bones and working out what they would have come from. So there's quite a few mandibles in there belonging to rodents. I also found a path that had been created by badgers. Obviously because there's a latrine site as part of the path, so that would be from them. And I also photographed a bee. Going through my photos afterwards, photos of the bee, the photo that I particularly liked was where the bee is flying away from me. And I know that that disobeys the rule of always including an eye in photos of wildlife, but rules are meant to be broken every now and again. So this, to me, of the many images that I got, this was the one that I particularly liked. Photographing the bee also highlighted a little bit of an image, a problem that I have, which is that the lens I use, which is the 100 to 400mm L Canon lens, I use the Mark I version, and the minimum focusing distance with that lens is 1.8 meters. And I was physically having to back away from the bee multiple times in order to keep the bee in focus. Since then, I've been looking up lenses online, and it turns out that the Mark II version has essentially halved that minimum focusing distance to just under a metre, which I think would be really, really useful. I haven't really broached it with Sam about whether I can buy the Mark II version. I'm suspecting not, but hey, we can all dream. So I think that would be particularly useful for combining a trip where you don't know if you're going to see a bee or not, but you want to keep the lens ready for hares and other wildlife. So I don't know where outing number 4 is going to be. Probably back to location number 3, in that there are some characteristics of the location that I thought were quite promising. So yeah, just wanted to keep you updated. Please do let me know your comments below. Specifically, I'm trying to get more into the fieldcraft of detecting wildlife, so identifying paw prints and finding owl pellets. So any comments along those lines would be great. Please click like, please subscribe, and thank you for watching.